Hello, Jeff Elvin here with Ballen Brands, and today we're going to talk about what is working and what isn't working on your website. Now, the true title of this video is using analytics to make data-driven decisions, okay? But that doesn't sound sexy, right? That's not something, analytics is one of those things. It's such a clinical or technical term. Sometimes we love it. If you're a data-driven person, well, you love that. You hear analytics and you're like, yes, let me at the analytics. Let me see what that is. But we work with a lot of people that are not. They're more visionaries. They're not data-driven. They're more emotional and like off the cuff. Maybe they make more decisions, based on their gut or what they feel is happening. And even then, even when you work in that capacity, having analytics can help really support those efforts or make your efforts in that more effective. So we're going to talk a little bit about this and understand like how it works. Now, most of the time that I'm working with agents and talking to them about their real estate websites, I'm asked a very general question. What should I be doing to generate leads on my website? It's one of those questions that it's not the same answer for everybody. Every market's different. Every agent's different. The resources that we have as agents are different. Some of us have more time. Some of us have more money. Some of us are more technically inclined. Some of us are not. So it's never going to be the same exact answer for everybody. Okay. But we're going to take a look at all the different options and opportunities and then explain how we make these decisions moving forward. So when I look at my website, as an example, this is my website. I'm a real estate agent in Las Vegas, Henderson, Boulder City, North Las Vegas. And I use a real estate website just like we provide for our client base as well that come to us for our help on their real estate website. And the website is just, there's so many ways I could go with this. There's so many opportunities. And I hear a lot, again, I get questions like, what should I be doing? And I don't really like that question because what you should be doing, again, isn't necessarily what you're going to be successful at. Okay, we're told as agents we should be making phone calls. We're told as agents we should touch certain people a certain amount of times, but sometimes that just doesn't, go well with our personalities. It doesn't, it just doesn't work for us. And ultimately, if you're trying to do something that doesn't work for you, then you're probably not going to be very successful at it. So what I like to do here is just kind of go through the options and opportunities and explain to people like, hey, these are things that we could be doing. But then I like to look at analytics and express maybe where their opportunities are at. So let me explain what I mean by that. So on my real estate website, I've got buyer resources such as, the buyer blogs, for example, where, guide to home loans, step-by-step guide to buying a home, true price of home ownership. So here I'm like I'm just being the buyer expert, right? Maybe first-time home buyers. But I could become, in my social media world or when I talk to people, I could be, hey, you know what? Go to my website. I've got this resource. This is perfect for you. It explains everything we need. There you go. Same thing with selling. On the selling side, we've got blogs, right? Blog articles. What does it cost to wait on listing your home from listing to closing? What's the process, the home selling process? So again, just more of a resource, right? As a buyer or seller, an authority on the topic. So maybe that's how I utilize the website. We also encourage the lifestyle categories. So family side of Las Vegas, things to do in Boulder City. These are things that really, again, maybe we're not going right after the real estate lead, but we're trying to just become someone who's known in the community as having value. So I work with a lot of agents that they kind of sell real estate just because people know what they do, not because they pitch real estate. That they know what they do because they're very active in the community. They're, best places to eat, things to do, or best parks to visit, best nature trails, things like that, where they're really just a resource and about the community. And then what happens is as people get to know you as a resource and providing value, even if it's not specific to real estate, as long as you have that opportunity to express, here's what I do, here's who I am, then you basically become the default, right? That they're going to go to when they happen to think of real estate because it seems like you really know your area. And a lot of times that's what people are looking for. If they're coming to buy a place, they want to be in touch with an agent that really seems to know the market, or if they're going to sell their place, of course, same thing. They want to make sure they're talking to someone who has contacts and they think is going to do a good job marketing their space in their area. So, again, a little more on the hyper local side, right? A little less real estate, a little more like location and locale. And then same with the locations, moving into that category, same thing where there's information about each of these locations. Now, these are kind of both, right? They have a little bit about the actual areas of focus, but then they also have the real estate, built in there as well. So this is definitely real estate focused, but still also featuring that I know what I'm talking about. I have information about these areas. I have, marketing information. I've got statistics on the market, things like that. So I could come in as a real estate agent and do more of this. Okay, I could do more communities and neighborhoods and break down every individual space. So I could just dominate a particular area, again, neighborhoods and price points and all these, upcoming open houses and recently reduced homes. I mean, all of these things are things that, I could just continue to build out a specific niche in a specific area, or several of them, and just go deeper and deeper and deeper and just have it completely covered. Right? So again, just to kind of recap where I'm at so far, buying, like maybe just a resource for new home buyers, second time home buyers, vacation, investment buyers. I can really, dial in on that by using content. On the selling side, if I'm looking for more listings, the same thing. I could be an expert in that particular area. I could go into more lifestyle and community if I'm just involved and I, have a lot of outreach, or I'm doing a lot of, charitable events, or join me in this effort, like that kind of thing where I'm building community. We can do that in the lifestyle. Locations, same thing. Just it's like you're the mayor of that town. You know everything there is to know. If anybody has a question, go to you, and you've got the contact, you've got the resources. Maybe it's a vendor list. Maybe it's, again, putting someone in touch with somebody else that's in the, a similar field, that kind of thing. So again, already 4 different areas that I could use the website to jump off on and, really dig deeper. Now, what's also great about the website is sometimes we do other things outside of just real estate. So I could use that, again, in the sites that we build. If you use a canned real estate website, you have a little more struggle with this because you can't necessarily build out pages that aren't relative. But maybe you, again, are very involved in charitable acts and you want to make sure that that's represented, and you try to get people, you're driving people to your website to participate in, some philanthropic, type of effort. So for me, for example, and I don't put it on my website specifically at this point, but me, for example, I'm very big into children that are fighting cancer and the families that are struggling with this. So I'm very involved in a local thing here, and I get, a lot of contacts through that effort, through the events that I go to and that participation and that I have with that, the money that we've raised. We've raised over $100,000 so far for this organization. It's just, a great way to again, be part of the community. So I could feature that more on this website. I happen to have a separate website for that specifically, so I don't necessarily marry those two, but that's just an example of what I could do if, I really wanted to take that angle, okay, and just get people here. Our goal is to have people to interact on the website, ultimately, to build domain authority, to get that keyword search engine, traction and everything else. So now, once I'm doing that though, I need to track what's working. That's really the key. If I want to get more out of what I'm doing, I need to know what's working and I need to know what's not working. Okay, so basically, if I can look at analytics and see people are going here or there, well then I'm able to say, let's do more of that. So let me show you what I mean by that. Let's get into the website analytics here. So the first and foremost thing we want to look at is we want to look at just the general overview, the basics they're called here. Now, there are many analytics programs out there. The most popular out there would be Google Analytics, and we recommend specifically Clicky Analytics. Now, let me explain the difference between those. Google Analytics is great for how many pages are visited, your month-over-month traffic, and those types of things. And it's a little more of a developer tool, meaning like it's just a lot of graphs and numbers, okay? We like to use something like Clicky Analytics. They have a free version as long as you're logging in, periodically to check your data. They also have a paid version. It's $10 a month or $80 a year. I mean, it's super low cost for what we can find. And the reason why I like Clicky more than something like Google Analytics is because Clicky gives us it's more of like a marketing data. It's a little easier to read for someone who's not super analytical. And it helps me connect more dots. So let me explain what I mean by that. So here we've got just the basics. How many visitors came in a certain time period? Is that up or down from the last same time period? So in this case, if I did, let's say this is the last 28 days, I've had 1,500 visitors in the last 28 days. They've taken this many actions, meaning they've clicked on or went to another page or whatever. So that's up. The average actions between them, however, is down a little bit. It's okay, it happens. We're going to have some sways there. And then the total time on site, 5 days for everybody, but the average time per visit is 5 minutes. So that's telling me people are sticking around. Okay, so this is important for me to know. Like, are people coming and taking action? Are they doing things? And then ultimately the bounce rate also leads into that. So this is showing it's a 30% bounce rate. That's not terrible. Bounce rate is basically a bounce is someone who comes to the website, they see something and they leave, or they don't see what they want and they leave. So it's a bounce, right? So they come in and they go right back out. They don't take an action. They don't spend a lot of time on the site. So basically it's kind of like I won't say a missed opportunity, but it was the wrong visitor, right? Someone who came there didn't get what they wanted. Okay, and that's going to happen sometimes, especially when we're ranking on search engines, because Google will sometimes send us traffic that maybe isn't relevant to us. But with that being said, these are the basics, and we just need to look at this easily. How many people have come, how many actions they're taking, how much time they're spending, and do we have a high bounce rate? Okay, super simple, gives us some information. Ultimately, we want the greens, right? We want to see that month over month we're having an increase, we're getting that traction. All right, so that's step number one. Number two is I like to see how my search traffic's doing. So this is how many people are coming to the website after they've done a search on Google, Bing, ChatGPT, any of those, after they've done a search and then they've actually clicked through to come to the site. Now you'll see in some cases I'm able to see what they actually searched for and what they came or what caused them to come. But most of the time we see just secure search. And the reason for that is because Google specifically, a lot of people are logged into their Google accounts, and Google has a privacy rule that says we won't show you what they actually search to get to your website. So we don't always know what keywords they are, but we do know how many we're getting month over month or year over year, whatever your statistics are. So again, great to see how many people are coming in, what their next action is going to be, or I'm sorry, how healthy our domain authority and our search engine rankings are. Okay. All right, more in Clicky. So I can also see where, again, super simple, just right here in my face, not something I have to go search multiple tabs for, which we have to do in Google Analytics sometimes. But I'm able to see, okay, there were 699 searches, 411 people came directly to the website, so I'm getting more traffic from searches than I am from my own, like people just typing it in or coming to me because they know me. 249 came from links that I have out from all different websites and everywhere else. 74 came from AI. Okay, so this is ChatGPT, Gemini, things like that. So it shows if we see this number going up, that means that you're active, whatever you're doing on your website is getting you some rankings in the AI, the artificial intelligence, these chat bots and stuff. So these are important because a lot of people are asking this now, and a lot of people are switching over instead of just typing out homes in Las Vegas, right? They're saying, show me homes in Las Vegas through ChatGPT or some other voice command thing. So this is important for us to see as well. We definitely want to see the traction there. Social media, if you're posting links on Facebook, you're posting Instagram stories, things like that, this is going to show you how many people are coming from those particular locations or from those outlets. And then if you're doing email marketing, how many people are coming from your email efforts as well. So this is all, by the way, guys, just random data from different sorts, or different sources in analytics. So this doesn't necessarily match, this doesn't match that. Like it's just a sample, some screenshots of what we're going to see and what to look for in your own statistics in order to get more out of it. Now, the last thing that really helps us, again, this is just general analytics. It tells us, okay, this is working, this is not working, this is doing. But when an agent will call me and say, hey, what should I be doing? Should I build out more pages? Should I add more buyer blog posts? Should I do more hyper local lifestyle type things, right? I immediately say, well, let's go look at your analytics, okay? Because the analytics will give us like some early insight. So far, I've shown you just generals, right? How much traffic we're getting, how many searches we're getting, where they're coming from, but I haven't really seen what's working, right? As far as like content is concerned, which of those sections between buyer resources, seller resources, or hyper local things to do, or just the different locations and building out those showcase IDX pages. What should I do more of? If I only had an hour this week, what should I spend that hour on? And that's where I'm going to go into the actual data of the pages and what people are going to, okay? So a lot of times we have, as real estate agents, we serve several markets, different counties, different cities, different neighborhoods or master plan communities within the cities. So which one of those to go into, I wouldn't know because I don't know your area, I don't know the competition. But we can take a look and see maybe what is working so far. And so if I look here, this is just, again, a little snapshot like from my site where I see that, okay, I've got someone went to my homepage. This is like current traffic that's coming right now. Someone went to the first time step-by-step home buyer guide. That's from an AI search that somebody did. Locations, my Henderson location, my Henderson real estate page, my showcase page. Then we have someone from Google went to my Henderson page. I got a couple people just went to my home page. Someone from Bing came to my Las Vegas page, right? You see how we can really see what's working and like what's coming in. So this slash here is just the home page. So a lot of people are just coming to the home page for different reasons. They could be coming to the home page, like for myself, I went and visited, or I suggested an agent I'm talking to go check out what I do. So that'll happen sometimes. But I also see, okay, buying, guide, home loan, programs, mortgage. Okay, so far what I'm seeing is I've got, first time home buyer guide, and then I've got guide to home mortgage. So right now my site is getting a little more traction on the buyer side than the seller side. That's not unusual because there's typically more buyers online looking for information than sellers. But if I were to say, well, what am I gonna, I can only write one blog this month or this week or whatever, what should I do it on? I'm probably gonna go on the buyer side because I'm getting a little more traction on the buyer side. This is just a small sample of data, but I'm just using it as an example to kind of help understand that this is how we make those decisions, right? If I saw that, maybe I want to do more business in Boulder City because I live in Boulder City, for example, which is all still part of that Las Vegas market. I'm born and raised in Las Vegas. But if I wanted to serve that, I'm not getting a lot of traction here. So I need to do something about that. If I really want to make a difference and I want to be, then I need, while I'm out in my community, to send more people here, to get them to those pages, to do that so that Google will start to see that I'm getting more traction there as well. And then they would award me more opportunities. So it's a formula that we're working on here, but we want to know where to spend our time, right? There's so many different things we can chase and so many different things we can go after that we really want to figure out what's the best use of our time here. So we use Clicky, again, just to kind of recap, to see who's on the website, what are they viewing, how are they engaging. Like, it's easy to read in a dashboard. Google Analytics, again, it has a lot of data, but there's a lot of lines you have to connect. It doesn't quite lay it out like this, where I can just see this page is getting this many hits from these sources, right? So that's why we use this particular tool. It's a little more, little more marketer friendly, okay? A little less analytics specific. Now, the point again to all of this, if we don't have this, we don't know what's working and what's not working. So every brew website that we set up, we install the Clicky Analytics tool. If you don't sign up for Clicky, then, of course, this won't be tracking for you, but we have it ready to go, so we absolutely encourage that. And again, once you have it, just look at it. Once a month, every other month, just take a look. It'll tell you something. It'll tell you something, again, whether like, man, I've been doing a lot of this and I don't see that reflected here. Well, then maybe that's not the best use of your time. Or, wow, I didn't know. I talked to an agent not too long ago. She wanted to build out a new neighborhood page. And I said, well, let's go look at your analytics. Let's see what makes sense. Which neighborhood should we build out? And I started to see a lot of 55 plus this, active adult communities. And I said, you're ranking really well for 55 plus just based on the analytics. Have you like purposely gone after that? And she's like, no, I didn't actually. I said, well, it seems like there's a gap. There's a gap in that market. There's an opportunity there. And so she actually, instead of building out new neighborhoods, she went and made sure that all the 55 plus was represented in all of her current neighborhoods. Okay. So, and then she started to generate more leads even from the 55 plus. If it's already working, let's do more of that. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. That sounds obvious, but sometimes it's hard to process that way. So again, look at your analytics, see what it's doing for you. That's the benefit of the website, and having analytics on the website is we can see this. We can't always see in postcard mailers or, offline things like what's working, right? We only know if it's working if someone actually calls us for a listing or whatever, but we don't know how many people saw it, how many people took interest in it, whether or not it was, maybe they were interested, but they just not enough to get them over the hump to give you a call. These are things that we can do, again, with the website to kind of help track that. So really take advantage of the analytics side. Now, the same is true for CRMs, okay? So a lot of us are working with there's so many different CRMs out there, and it's important to really look for something that is going to give you some analytics, okay? So we use the Keep CRM, and it's when we send out our email marketing. I'm sure you can find this like in Constant Contact or different tools, Flowdesk, whichever ones you're using. Go look at the analytics. Go see what's working. Okay. Go see like what is your click-through rate? What is your open rate? What are the titles that people are using that are getting more click-through and open rates? Okay. So this is just a little snapshot out of ours. So for each of these, I'm able to click through and see like what's our open rate, what's our click-through rate, okay? What's working? Let's do more of that. A lot of times you'll see some similar statistics month after month, and then sometimes you'll just see one that stands out or one that just failed. It's just half the open rate or half the click-through rate. Pay attention to that, right? This is how we get more out of what we're doing. If we're staying pretty consistent, well then that means our audience is consistent and our message that we're giving to that audience is consistent, and that's okay, right? Just keep an eye out for those huge indicators. Also, another way to track what's working is like who's opening what and what is it that they're opening and when. So we can look at this again in our CRM that we use, the Keep CRM. We're able to see like, oh, okay, get more out of your efforts was just open, get more from AI was just open. My follow-up campaign, it's me again, so-and-so, following up with, sending information to potential leads, who's opening that. So this allows us to see, again, who's active, who's valuable to us, who might need our attention sooner than later, right? When we have a database of 5,000 people, it's so important to be able to know and to not chase, the 45 or 4,800 people that really aren't ready right now and just narrow down on those 200 that could be something for us. Okay. So look for that, see what analytics you have, make sure you're tapping into that and, ultimately seeing what's working, what's not working, or that you're on par for what you've been doing. Okay. That's how we make all the decisions here. So we know, that's the thing about Ballen Brands, right? We don't just build a website and say, here you go, right? So the analytics is just as important as what tools we put on the website, okay? So it's not just the analytics either, right? It's how we capture on the website, how do we influence the decisions, can we increase click-through rates, can we build out more sections that Google's already awarding us for, or rewarding us for? These are the things that we can go after if we have the analytics connected to the website, but then we have the flexibility on the website to do something about it. Then, of course, it's not just your database or CRM either, right? It's being like if it's a buyer lead that came in, classifying them properly in the CRM, making sure they're getting buyer-related CRM, follow-up emails and text messages. It's the whole system, okay? So there's not just one thing that works. It all has to work. And sometimes we really go after these things and we try this and we do that, and we don't always know what's going to work. Again, every market's different. Every agent's different. The seasons are different. The inventory is different. So many factors come into what may or may not be working for an agent. And so it's just important that we have analytics to help cut through some of that guesswork. Okay, little less guesswork. Yes, we can have some insights, some indicators that tell us what we think we should do, but the more we have to guess, the more we're spending or the more effort we're putting into something that may never return anything for us. So hopefully we kind of get that point. Need a good website. We need those analytics in place. You need that CRM that's going to tell you what's working and what's not working as well. And these are all things that we can help you with, of course. If you have any questions on this or anything else related to your websites or your analytics, by all means, you can reach out to us at team@ballenbrands.com.